Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Founders Forum. This is episode 21, and today's topic is the recent capture of Nicholas Maduro and all the stuff that came along with it. So let's get right into it. This happened a few weeks ago, actually, back in the beginning of the year, and the month. The United States conducted an operation that basically, the objective was to capture Nicholas Maduro. It happened late in the morning, early in the morning, and it was successful. Um, we sent the Delta Force team in. Went to his compound or fortress or something. Took out all their guards. They literally pulled him out from his bed, him and his wife. Right then, they get him on the helicopter, bring him back to a ship. Then there's like a whole bunch of stops. They said there was like in Florida, some other place, and then they're taking him to New York to go to trial because he's a drug lord. His the entire country of Venezuela runs on drugs, so that's where all the money comes in. And yeah, he was labeled as a terrorist, a drug lord, a criminal. And in my opinion, I think the whole thing was justified. It's people were making claims that it's breaking international law. We didn't go to NATO for permission, but at the end of the day, we don't need to do any of that. We're the United States of America. We can really do whatever we want. Um, but yeah. So clearly, for the since the beginning of the Trump administration, which is almost a year now, we were going after the boats, but now we're going after their president. And then, so the day of, the vice president actually fled to Russia. I think she's back in Venezuela now, like making deals with the U.S. Because later, in the day, Trump came out and said that we'd be running Venezuela. But it doesn't seem to be that way. Like I'm sure we'll be running it from behind the scenes to or at least making deals that will work in our favor, of course. But yeah, and they're saying we would seize the 300 billion barrels of oil, but that it can physically happen, but Venezuela is having problems, pumping all their oil out. They have a lot of oil reserves, but it it's just really hard for them to get it out, I guess. And so they said they worked out a deal. There's between 30 million to 50 million barrels of oil getting shipped to the U.S., but in my opinion, and in straight facts, that's really not going to do a lot for the United States. That's literally like 2 to 3 days worth of oil. Um, so yeah, we're gonna need a lot more than that. Uh, what else? Yeah, they're saying fentanyl was a big problem, but that's really wasn't the case with Venezuela. The fentanyl comes from China into Mexico and then into the United States. So cocaine though was a big problem from Venezuela. Uh, and yeah, so they're saying during the actual raid, they're saying that the United States actually had like some mystery weapon that made the soldiers or the guards like collapse and lose hearing, and I forgot the exact details, but it was a little mysterious coming from our side. But it's cool. It's nice to know that we have weapons like that, and in my again another why I think this was justified was it reassures your safety from living in the U.S. It's a refreshment. It's to show all the other countries like Cuba, Mexico, and Colombia to not really mess around with us. Because it could just be you that gets swept up from out of your bed. But yeah. So yeah, it showed the world the might and the power of the U.S., which is obviously that's a good thing for us. Um, let's see. I think that's everything on here. Yeah, all their money comes from oil from the U.S. Like from Venezuela to the U.S. Um, yeah, they produce 800,000 to 1 million barrels of oil per day, and apparently that's 105 million worldwide produced. So that's less than 1%. We invaded Venezuela to either deprive. Yeah, so I guess this leads into the goals of this operation. They're saying to stop the drugs, but the real reason is when you look at the oil. Venezuela ships a lot of oil to China, so it could be that we want to deprive China of the oil, or just take it in for ourselves. So again, but it's at the end of the day, you have to realize it's really not making that much of a difference. Um, but yeah, because China is has 11 million barrels of oil per day produced. So again, and that's only 4% coming from Venezuela. So really, it's not really a big deal when you think of it. But yeah, that's basically the breakdown of that. They showed him on a helicopter, and I don't know what his trial is, but so yeah, it's very, in my opinion, like I said, it's cool to see. It's a refreshment to to the other countries, to show our might. And a drug lord is in our hands now. His fate will be decided by us. So yeah, that's pretty much that, I think. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and tune in for the next one.